Hi and welcome back to another lesson. Today I'd like to talk to you about a simple but really effective progression, or maybe I'll call it a chord resolution or voicing that I like to use in my own playing. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to play a short example and then I'll point out exactly what the actual progression is and show you where it gets featured in the example. So let's start with the example itself. Okay, so what's the voicing or the example? I mean, the progression itself. So think about a simple 5-1 progression. And let's be concrete. Let's say we're in the key of C major. So our 5 is a G, and our 1 is a C. So the 5 resolves to the 1. Now, in the left hand, instead of playing the roots as the bass notes, so I'm not going to play a G and a C, I'm going to play two other notes. In this case, I'm going to play an F to an E. And what these are the 7th degree, or I mean, this really turns the G chord into a G dominant 7th chord. And this is a C chord, but with a bass that's not on the root or in the tonic. It's on E, it's on the 3rd degree. And if the theory doesn't mean a lot to you, don't worry about it. Just think about anytime you see this sort of progression, instead of playing the root on the 5, you play something that is 2 semitones below it. So not the G, but an F. And this resolves to something that is a semitone below it. Now this idea can be extended to really any 5-1 progression. And so for example, if you have an F going to a B flat, so instead of playing in the bass an F and a B flat, I'm going to play an E flat to a D. Or for example, let's say we have an E to an A. So instead of playing an E bass going to an A, I'm going to play a D bass going to a C sharp, which is a note in the A major chord, it's just not the root. And you can actually string these alongs, just like I did in the example. And you can really keep going with these things. Now, the moment you get used to it, you can start using inversions in your right hand. So you don't have to use the exact inversions I used, but let's say you have, again, an F going to a B flat. So instead of playing it this way, you could play something like, so I'm using bigger chords in my right hand. Or I could use something like this, which is a different inversion of F and a different inversion of B flat. One thing that I find particularly effective in this context is, let's say we have a G going to a C, then when playing the C, instead of playing it this way, an E, a G, and a C, I play this C here instead. So I'm not really playing a full chord in my right hand, but that's okay because the bass makes up for it. It makes up for the E that should have been here. So really keep going up the keyboard, down the keyboard. You can jump around, and it's really a fun thing to play. It creates a nice amount of tension that resolves very nicely. And in the piece I played, there was a beginning that really didn't have anything to do with it, which is a C chord, going to an F, going to a D, going back to an F, then a C chord again. There's a pedal note, which is a C. The C bass keeps on going. Then there's an F, again a D, an F, and then it comes, then I start playing these progressions. So I have a C, going to an F, and look at the bass. The bass does exactly what I showed you previously. In the case of a C, then you don't play the C to an F, you take the C, you go down 2 semitones, and then 1 more semitone. And then, again, an F to a C, C to an F, G to a C. Then at some point in the middle, I sort of have a slightly different progression, which is an E minor, or an E minor 7 to be more precise, to an A minor 7. And then I have a G, then I have a D to a G. Again, the same exact progression I've shown you. Then a C to an F, the same progression. And then I sort of wrap things up to a D minor 7, to an F over bass of G, and then to a C, which is back to the tonic. And that's it. So personally, I really like incorporating this into my own pieces, and I'll actually leave a link in the video description to a piece I uploaded here to YouTube, which I called Minute Rhapsody, which uses this really a lot. So that will give you maybe an even more well-rounded idea of where this progression can be used. And in fact, you can treat it as an exercise in a sense that you can go and have a listen and try to identify the points where I use this particular tool or progression. And it happens quite a lot there. That's it for now. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I'll see you next time.